NBA tip-off, Thursday edition, Thursday, September 17th, and we are live 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, as we are each and every Monday through Friday right here on WagerTalk TV, and we will be back tomorrow and Friday because we have game one of the Western Conference Finals starting tomorrow and Friday. So every time there's a game, folks, we will be here live at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, moving forward for NBA tip-off on WagerTalk TV. Took yesterday off because there was nothing but baseball. Wasn't any hockey, was no football, there was no NBA, but tonight on Thursday, of course, full throttle. We've got all the major sports going. Actually, no college football, though, so a little strange there. But we do have NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL. I'm going to bring in Teddy first. Teddy, your thoughts overall as we head into Thursday. Baseball yesterday, I guess, how did you do? And what you got going tonight on Thursday at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo?
I had no plays yesterday, and I have no plays today.
Woo!
I'm not forcing anything, and there's no reason to force anything. And right now, my focus is not – it really hasn't been on baseball the last week or two. And when I see it, I'm going through the card. But the primary focus right now is NBA playoffs, NFL, and college football. And I'm already loaded, locked and loaded with a full weekend of NFL slate. I've got a couple of college games up, and I do have a play available for tomorrow's NBA game available right now at both SportsMemo and WagerTalk.com.
And once again, that's one of the benefits of being a direct subscription holder. As we always say, not only do you save 80 to 90% off the daily price for a single picks, but then you're getting everything the minute Teddy releases. He released college football. I think on Monday you had one out, Teddy, right? For
I was Monday because I knew that line was going to move, and I was right.
Do you still have that rated as a 5%er, by the way?
I do. And in the rating, I with every play, I always put line parameters.
Nice.
People know if I've got if the 5% and the line's here, all right, maybe it's down to a 4% or a 3%, depending. But there's a line parameter on every play that I release over at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo.
And once again, all these games come with analysis. So if you're doing your own handicapping, it's a great supplement to your own handicapping. And speaking of analysis, if you like analysis, I hear Tony Finn can write some nice novels with your write-ups, Tony. How was Wednesday for you? What you got going on tonight?
Wednesday was it wasn't great. It was an 0-2 night. I'm famous for sticking a pitcher, an all-star, potentially a Hall of Fame pitcher, on the mound and giving him about 10 or 15 butt slaps, and next thing I know, he's come off injured. So teams, they're not a big fan of me. So that's it. 0-2 baseball. I didn't have anything else today. I have an early afternoon baseball. I have a late baseball, and I have a play that I've had up for a couple days on Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
So, Tony, did we fade the Mets tonight with the Phillies again since you got the jersey on?
Well, I wore this for two reasons real quickly. You guys have been buffed. It's a good story, right? But I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I had the Mets on the run line last night with DeGrom because I just didn't want to lay the number, and they ended up winning. So this morning I got up and I said to myself, we went 0-2 for the clients. I said, is it glass half full or is it glass half empty? So I said, it's a glass half full. It's a good day. I woke up, I get another chance to piss my wife off and F something up. And as I've said many times, I do both really well. And I think I've already accomplished both. It's a good day.
So the Mets were down 4-0, viewers. For those of you that don't follow baseball, the Phillies were up 4-0 halfway through the game, and they end up losing 5-4. The Mets score back-to-back runs in the 8th and 9th. So I guess it's an homage to the Mets that he wears it the day after. Rob Veno, how's the week been going for you, my man? And I know you've got some college football probably up already, don't you, at WagerTalk?
I do. In fact, today, the $11 Thursday $11 handicapper Tony, I took the baton from him. We won last week. I guess this is a situation, guys, because it's a new thing at WagerTalk where as long as you win the play, you continue on the next week as the featured handicapper on $11 Thursday. So that would be me here. College football play is up and available. There's also a play I put up Monday night. So 2 college football plays up. I did not have anything last night. The last time I was in action, guys, was the Miami-Boston game 1. I had over 208.5, which didn't need the overtime, but certainly it got through rather easily. So great game, great result as far as I'm concerned, and we'll go at it again today.
And I just want to interrupt you guys. It's nothing new at WagerTalk.
Okay. New to me.
When you once you fail, you don't hand the band off. That's taken from you. So
What's different than $2 Tuesday, I think, is what Rob was getting at, right? Because $2 Tuesday is just a quick hit, although nobody ever wins on $2 Tuesday. So I guess we would have no way of knowing if you stay up for the following week or not, because it's been the kiss of death, I think, for every one of us. But $11 Thursday, Rob, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot you had that last week, and we did talk about that. You get to keep it running as long as he can go. So we'll see how long that streak goes. Viewers chime in, give me an over/under on Rob Veno's Thursday $11 streak. I make it 3.5. Rob, I think you're going to get a few more.
And just to be clear, I would never take anything from Tony Finn. So I certainly, it was handed to me.
You wouldn't take a baton after he's touched it?
They handed it to me.
Coronavirus. You wouldn't take any good advice? Yeah, I don't have any. Right.
I don't know, Tony. Your idea of good advice might be a little different.
I'm sure it is.
Teddy, what advice would you give the LA Clippers? We're going to talk on the Western Conference Finals in depth tomorrow on Friday, but I figured since we have just one game, we'll kind of go around real quick since we didn't meet yesterday and just RIP LA Clippers. Your final thoughts on them, Teddy Covers.
My advice to the Clippers would be take a breath, take a chill, run it back.
Well, I thought you were going to say fire Doc for sure. I thought you were going to say
Doc is I'm not going to say he's unfireable, but he.
Yeah.
And again, it's not there's an enormous difference between the elite NBA head coaches and the bad NBA head coaches. Yeah. Doc Rivers isn't a bad coach. Okay.
No, I agree.
But when you have a situation like we have this year in the bubble, where the guys who watch film obsessively have a legitimate edge, Doc Rivers isn't one of those guys. But that won't be. I don't think. We don't expect the NBA to play.
Did they have a bar in the bubble? Could you go get a martini?
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did too. If they didn't, they don't tell us. Even though they said they didn't, I'm sure they did.
Tony, would you fire Doc Rivers?
Would I?
Yeah, I'm dead.
No, I would not. Listen, he's right about Doc. I think Doc. I gave Doc plenty of butt slaps this year. The way he handled Kawhi and the load management early on before we went dark, I thought he did a great job. I really did. They were listen when we went dark. This team was playing as well as any team in the NBA. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Rob, I hate this question, but I'll ask you anyway, and I personally don't like it. So just don't answer it if you don't. People go, was the season still a success? In my opinion, it definitely was not, even though they had one of the best records in basketball, because what's the damn matter if you don't make it to the Western Conference Finals or even win the whole thing? I mean, if they'd lost to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, I said, yes, it was a successful season, but I don't think it was a success at all. I mean, what do you think, Rob?
No, I'd agree, Steve, because the expectations weren't to go out in the second round to the Denver Nuggets. I mean, it just not even, prior to Game 7 halftime were those the expectations, but they became a reality real quick third quarter. So I would agree with you. It's not a successful season. It's a waste of a season. They did give them a little bit of credit because they integrated some new parts, although they are superstar parts, and just couldn't get it done in the end. But I would not consider what the Clippers did a successful season.
Ski, how happy were you to see the Nuggets win and face your Lakers instead of the Clippers?
I mean, that's a cakewalk for me right there. I love it. But I was even more happy to see the Clippers just go down. As many people have said that the Clippers are the best team, Clippers are this, Clippers are that. Clippers are going to be the Clippers at the end of the day. So I was excited for that.
What was the stat, guys? Wasn't it? Have they not been to the conference finals now like 40-some years? I don't think they've even made the conference finals, right? Or never have made it.
Never.
Amazing.
This whole Lob City and
that's an easy statement to make.
They've never even been there.
That's a pretty easy statement to make. Say the Clippers are going to be the Clippers. That's a pretty easy statement. That's like saying Finn's going to be. That's easy to make.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've handicapped NBA as a professional now for 25 years, and I don't remember them being that great. So I didn't think any time before that they'd made it either. But it's pretty remarkable.
You guys know who my team is?
Huh?
You guys know who my team is, and I mean that we shared the stadium, the same arena with the Clippers. I'm not going to lie. A long time ago, I was a Clippers fan. Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles, Corey Maggette, guys like that. I like the Clippers.
That was a great team. They had this thing going.
Yeah, I loved it.
yeah, I remember that. I bought a Clippers hat. That was a super fun team. I had a bunch of money with that team. That was Alvin Gentry's first coaching job. And they were good, and no one was paying any attention to them. They're like, the Clippers are Clippers. I love that team. And then Miles got hurt, and that was that.
Exactly.
And Ski, you could get pretty good ticket prices probably on the Clippers back in the days as well, I would think, when you wanted to go to the arena.
And I'm not going to lie, that's why I was at the games.
I don't blame you one bit, man. Rob, what were your final thoughts there?
No, I was just going to say, because you were pointing out, or Ski was pointing out that they've never been to the conference finals, right. Not even with Lloyd Free when they were the San Diego Clippers in 1979 were they in conference finals. So it's been a long, long time for this franchise to be a bad team. They've had some players along the way, but certainly haven't gotten it done.
Even the Washington Bullets won a title in '99. I mean, that's how bad.
That was a good team.
Years. But
The Sonics were better.
They've been pretty miserable ever since, though. That's all I remember growing up in the '80s. I'd get one game a week on our local channel. Gene Shue would be against the Celtics all the time, so I get to watch the Celtics.
Sam Lacey and Nate Archibald, that Kansas City Kings team. Scotty Wedman, great team. They didn't go anywhere.
Let me ask you guys real quick, and we'll obviously dive into the Lakers tomorrow, but we'll leave the Clippers here. Teddy, going forward, does this negatively affect them next year? If we have a regular season going forward, I mean, is there a hangover like we see sometimes, the NFL, the team that comes a little bit short, like Jacksonville a few years ago when they came up short to the Patriots, done nothing since. Does this carry over to next year, Teddy, or do they maybe use it as some motivation?
I wouldn't expect a hangover effect from the Clips. In fact, in theory, if the Clips are legit championship contenders, they're supposed to come out with a chip on their shoulder out of the gate next year and go 20-2 in their first 22 games. Maybe we'll see that.
So, Tony, you agree?
I do. If the pieces are those pieces that they have in place right now are still in place, I guess guys help me with this. When are we going to start? When's the NBA season going to start now? I know that they've
that's why I said like kind of a normal season, because I realize it really won't be. So.
They don't have a whole lot of time to change stuff around, really, at this point in time. There will be teams that do, but I agree with Teddy. Yes.
Yeah, Rob, do you see this as a motivating factor, or do you see it as a detriment?
I think it's a motivating factor, Steve. I mean, considering that, their top player is Kawhi Leonard, I can't see him not being extra motivated to, do what they thought they were going to do this year, next year. So I don't think that, just looking at the personnel on that team, that they're going to be so disappointed that they take a significant drop. I think it'll probably help them, and I'd expect them to be better.
And Ski, we'll finish it off with you since you're our LA guy. Just a big picture question to you. What was the reason, Ski, if you had to say one or two main reasons that this happened this year, that they did not make the finals?
I said it time and time again. Clippers' chemistry was not good. It was off. Kawhi, how many games did Kawhi and Paul George even play? How many games did all of them play together? It was just no cohesion.
20.
In comparison to everybody else, other teams, like Denver, they've been together for years. So that's the reason, in my opinion, the biggest reason, that and not having a big. So if they make any changes, I would say add somebody who can guard like Jokic and AD, a big like maybe Al Horford or somebody like that. But besides that, I would say keep it the same, and I expect them to be better next year.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. If chemistry is the problem, they were playing the team, like you said, in Denver that had as much as anybody cohesion. And then, of course, they would have had to face Anthony Davis without a big here in the next round. So it was an uphill battle, I guess, for the Clippers in hindsight. But they're done. We've got another LA team to talk about tomorrow, guys. And we'll dig into Game 1 tomorrow between the Nuggets and Lakers at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on Friday. But tonight is Thursday, and we have Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And, Teddy, I'll start with you. Celtics 14-point lead in the fourth quarter in Game 1. I know that because I had them -1.5 the other night, and they, of course, lost in overtime. I had the Clippers, of course, with you in Game 6 Sunday, had the Celtics in Game 1 on Tuesday. It's been a nice couple of days of the NBA double-digit leads being blown for me, Teddy.
There was nothing fraudulent about Miami's fourth quarter rally against Boston. I have a play. I'd play on the Celtics for the game. I'd play on the Celtics for the series. And I was praying the Celtics would find a way to steal that game so I can get off my Celtics bet for the series.
Wow.
That's how worried I am about what I saw in Game 1.
Well, you stole my next question. I was going to ask you, Teddy, do you still like them in the series? So you'd like to be off of that then, huh?
I can't get off of them. I'm not going to lay 160 to get off of a bet of that bet right now. I'm not going to do it. That's we call it a Polish middle. I'm laying 135 on one side and -160 on the other side, and I can only lose money. So I'm going to let the chips fall where they may with the Celtics right now. If they win, maybe I'll think about it. If they win Game 2, tonight, I will see what the price is and see if I can get off of my Boston bet without further difficulty, but without taking the very worst of it. But I didn't see anything that happened in that game that I don't expect to happen tonight. People are like, "Oh, Tyler Hero, he can't do that." Yeah, he can. He can do that again. And if he doesn't, then Duncan Robinson can do something, or Kelly Olynyk can do something, or Derek Jones Jr. can do something. the bigger issue and the thing that I got wrong in my handicap prior to game one, and that I'm afraid is going to be the killer in this series, is I misread Miami's defense. Or maybe I misread Boston's offense. But Boston's offense was stuck in the mud against Toronto. And I'm like, well, that's Toronto's, the championship level defense. And in the fourth quarter, and during the crucial possessions at the end of regulation, at the end of overtime, the Celtics had nothing. There's no offensive game plan. Miami had everybody covered. There were no open shooters, and Boston standing around on the, dribbling on the perimeter and jacking up contested 29-foot three-pointers. I'm not convinced that changes for game two. And you say, well, Iguodala didn't do a whole lot in that first game, and Nunn didn't do a whole. I mean, even if Hero doesn't have that type of performance, Miami has the role players, and I think I read I didn't give enough credit to Crowder and Iguodala with my Celtics series bet, thinking that, all right, this is Boston. They've been here, and the way the NBA works is the teams that are there and have been there, you kind of go through the progression and then you reach the finals. And Boston far further along in that progression than a Heat team that didn't make the playoffs last year. But when you have the Jay Crowders and Andre Iguodalas of the world on one side, and on the other side, even with a veteran in Kemba Walker's never been in the NBA Finals. Jaylen Brown's never been in the NBA Finals, et cetera, et cetera. Miami it felt like they were the more experienced veteran team down the stretch of that game, and that really concerns me about Boston moving forward. So it's a Celtics spot. The Celtics are supposed to bounce back and win this game. I don't trust them right now. And maybe I'm overreacting to game one, but game one was bad for Boston. They were lucky to be ahead, and they were lucky to only lose by 3. They were not the right side in that game.
Yeah, and Kemba, by the way, had 19 points. We talked about his total was anywhere from 19.5 to 20.5, and we all kind of liked the over, and he landed right at 19, just as another dagger in the side there as far as game one goes. Tony, Teddy does not want to get off this with the Polish middle. Would you recommend a Russian middle, Tony?
Well,
would that be better for him today?
Sometimes you just have to wave the red flag and take the Russian middle. Take it, where it hurts a little bit. Listen, this is one game. Boy, we've been through this a few times, guys. We're one game, and I didn't get out of the room with Toronto, until I think it was game 2. And in hindsight, I wish I had stayed out of the room, but I didn't. And so, while it wasn't horrible, it wasn't much fun. And in this game, I think what Teddy's covered is true. I mean, there's some depth on this Miami team that outweighs, or at least outshines, anything Boston has to bring. And maybe as important as if they keep talking about possibly, bringing back Hayward and those kind of things. And I wonder if that's going to be more of a distraction, if it's going to be more of a detriment than maybe more of a hindrance than they already have. And one of the hindrances is that who do you defend? As Teddy just outlined, I mean, there's some role players. I mean, Tyler Hero's game was it 1 assist short of a triple-double?
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing for a game one in conference finals. I guess maybe amazing is too complimentary. I mean, because this is a kid that was recruited by Kentucky that played in some some pretty big high school games and pretty good college games. And this series plays out to be pretty good. Bam was good. Listen, Bam is. I probably don't give Bam enough credit defensively too. I think it was a pretty big. I think everybody will agree. It's a pretty big block against Tatum, and it meant a whole lot. Maybe I hate saying this stuff because I just don't believe it in the big picture, guys. But in the moment, it just seemed like a play that could just change everything, And those things matter. And Teddy said it many times. There's certain little things that really matter in series like this. Sometimes it's not the best team. Sometimes it's not your star, your one guy that you depend on doing what he's supposed to do. It's just little things like that. And I'm excited. I'm excited about watching some basketball tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and Rob, game one was 1.5 when we did the show. It actually closed as high as -2, but now we've got 2.5. So the odds makers, the betting public, I guess you could say, are definitely factor in the bounce back here with the Celtics. So what are your thoughts, Rob Veno?
Yeah, and I was, totally on the other side of that line move, Steve. My power ratings had Miami a 1-point favorite in that game. Now I had to make a choice. Do I want to play Miami or do I want to play the over in that game? And I wound up choosing the over both end up winning, but I just hate having both ends of the same game, side and total. So I chose one over the other. But again, I mean, I could reiterate this one more time, and we talked about it a lot, but these teams are different. Boston could get away with offensive lapses against Toronto because, the more you watch these games in these playoffs, you had to come to the realization that Toronto wasn't as good as Miami offensively. They're just not. Boston could get away with it, not scoring in spurts because Toronto couldn't score. There's really nobody on that team that consistently scored. Once you knew Siakam wasn't playing well, and I think Ski might have said way back when that Siakam's absence offensively might have been due to the fact that he wasn't Kawhi's number 2 anymore. He had to be the leader, and it just never took hold. Miami brings so many different problems. You're not going to get away with scoring droughts against Miami. I'll just point out one thing, guys. Each team in that first game, let's leave overtime aside, each team won 2 quarters in that game, okay? The 2 quarters that Boston won, they won them 54-34. They won them by 20 points. The 2 quarters that Miami won, they won 72-52. They won by 20 points. The difference being that Miami can score, guys. You're not going to go in a lull and shake the Miami Heat because they've got too many guys, too many weapons. We went down the list of all of them. Even Kendrick Nunn hasn't really produced much yet, but he's more than capable. I'm with Teddy. I don't know that much is going to change in the regard that they're going to be competitive, hard-fought games. I don't know that nothing will change where, Miami's going to rampage through the series, but neither team will probably shake the other. I think Miami's got the better opportunity to win blowout games if, in fact, their offense clicks for 4 quarters. And to the Gordon Hayward aspect of this that Tony mentioned, I'd have to agree because I thought about it a lot. Perhaps if he does come back at some point in this series, which they're anticipating, it causes a little bit of disruption. But then I thought to myself, you know what you do with Gordon Hayward? You just extend your bench and give him 16, 17 minutes off the bench so that Brad Wanamaker doesn't have to be out there for 24 minutes. And when you extend their bench, all of a sudden they're equal in that regard to Miami. So I would not throw Gordon Hayward in the starting lineup and mess up chemistry. I would put him on the bench and get 17 useful minutes out of him and maybe increase them as the series goes along if they're warranted. Last thing, I can't count on both of my hands, guys, the amount of times that I saw Kemba Walker drive past the first defender, get into the paint, and then turn around and go the other way, where it looked like he had either an open shot to the rim or it looked like he had an inside the foul line jumper that was pretty easy. I mean, I never saw him play like that, where it's almost as if he thought there was a brick wall there that was never there. He was seeing ghosts because his first step, he was getting by people. Maybe he doesn't think he can elevate as well as he used to be able to, but boy, too many times Kemba Walker had opportunities to score points and just turned around and went the other way.
Yeah, I mentioned how he had 19 and his total was anywhere from 19.5 to 20.5. We all liked the over. 20 was the neutral number there. If you had told me he was going to have 19 field goal attempts, Ski, and 9 3-pointer attempts, I would have thought he had more than 19 points. He was 1 for 9 from 3 and 6 for 19 from the field, and he still was a point away from hitting the over. So you can give me your thoughts on that, I guess, Ski, but your big picture thoughts on game 2 as well.
Kind of have a lot. I'll talk about a couple of things the guys mentioned, but Teddy talked about Miami's depth and how they have the veterans over there, the guys who've been there and done that. I think that's a big deal in this game. And really quick before I forget about what Rob said, he said he beats the first defender and passes it off. I'm thinking, the thought process coming into the playoffs or coming into the restart was the Celtics are going to be as good as Kemba takes them because Kemba was hurt. Is Kemba still hurt? Maybe he can't elevate. Maybe. So that could be something there. And also, second thing, you have to remember, they're having second thoughts about Bam Adebayo being down there in the paint. I asked you guys who's the third best player, and I said I think it's Bam. He brings a lot to the table, even things that don't come into the stat sheet. And I wanted to mention about the Siakam thing. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't work on your game. I think they talked about coming back to the restart. He said he didn't touch a basketball for the whole
Yeah.
entire
Mhm.
whatever. He looked like it. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And on this game, I mean, it kind of went how I expected. I expect Boston to struggle to score because Boston is an isolation team, and Miami has the wing defense to deal with the isolation. So, and you have to give Miami's offense credit. If you look at their season numbers, their offense has been even better than Boston, but they have so many guys who can do it, and they have so many guys who can defend Boston's guys. But Boston, they can't take away everything from Miami. They can take away a couple of things, but there's one guy who's going to be a leak. Like I said, if they don't take away Dragic, he's going to go off, and that's exactly what happened. So they have to pick and choose. While I think Miami can take care of Boston defensively.
Yeah, Teddy, what are your thoughts on some guys, some play on play against guys? I mean, as I mentioned, Kemba Walker was one point short, one basket short, despite going 6 for 19. I mean, what are your thoughts on him here in Game 2 tonight?
Did you guys notice? I'm sure you did. I know Veno noticed because that's the kind of thing he notices. They took out Kemba Walker for the final defensive possession in regulation and brought in, and they put him on the bench, which surprised me, but speaks volumes about maybe where Kemba Walker is right now. You know, when you don't have your starting point guard on the floor for your final defensive possession because you're putting a defensive replacement in for him, that's problematic. It might be a matchup that Dragic is able to excel at again, and he might be someone that's worthy of an over tonight, prop-wise, most assuredly. That would be one that stands out to me. But I don't know that I'm looking for overs tonight. My gut reaction on this total is not an over. It's an under. And it has everything to do with, again, Miami hit a lot of shots. They hit a lot of contested shots. You know, Hero hit the big three, and Jimmy Butler hit the big three. And as they were making that rally down the stretch in the fourth quarter, they hit a ton of big shots, but the pace wasn't there. And Miami, unless Brad Stevens makes adjustments, we're going to see a lot of one-on-one ball for the Celtics again tonight. I don't think that works well in their favor, and I'm not convinced Miami shots are going to fall the same way. So in general, I'd be more inclined to look at unders than overs tonight when it comes to props and for the game total as well.
Yeah, Tony, I'm glad Teddy brought up the game total because I wanted to mention that Game 1 was 211, went down to as low as 209, even 208 by tip-off at some spots. It lands at 212, 106, 106 into regulation. So 211 was the high near the opener, landed 212. We now see 208.5. So there's been an adjustment down, even though the first game total 212. Teddy, so I mean, what are your thoughts on that adjustment down in the total?
Well, it's going up. I mean, the 208.5s are all gone. I'm seeing, looking at the Sportsmemo live odds screen right now, I'm seeing 209.5s mostly, and 210s even starting to pop up. For example, at the South Point here in Vegas. So we're seeing over money, in part because the pace was a little bit faster in Game 1, but I would expect better defensive execution this time. That over money is not my money.
Yeah, actually, you're exactly right. I mistyped that. I meant to type 209.5. That is what I'm seeing as well. So 209.5, and I'm not even sure it ever was 208.5. It might have opened, but yeah, 209.5 is the current number. Thank you. That was actually
Penny opened 208.5. It was
okay.
the
I might
opener.
have why I had that because I typed that in earlier for the show. But yeah, I'm seeing 209.5s everywhere too, and I just glanced at it and didn't realize I still had 208 on the screen. So it is rising. But yeah, I mean, Tony, the other one was bet down. Totals 212. One thing we haven't talked about, guys, is Miami won that game basically the 3-point difference. They took less 3-point shots, yet made more of them. So that was a big difference in that game as well. So, Tony, what are some more general thoughts for you here on Game 2? Maybe some play-on-play against guys? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I think if you think things are going to change, Teddy doesn't seem to think much is going to change. I think Rob and Ski said the same thing. And this one, I looked at the total. In Game 1, I looked hard and heavy at that, and I decided I probably needed to see a couple of games and see how Miami was going to line up, who they were going to use in their first rotation or second rotation, should I say? I think we know what Boston's going to offer, or what they have to offer, or what they have to utilize, and there's not a lot going to change in that. It is Miami that has the ability to adjust to and change and be different. I don't know about you guys. We haven't talked much about giving Pat Riley a lot of credit. I mean, I think Rob has. Rob has been the one that's really mentioned some of the pickups, the Iggy pickup, and those kind of things that Riley was able to do. But I find it pretty amazing that this is a team that was 2 years ago they look pretty bleak. Things look pretty bleak for this team, and amazingly, he gets. I think Bam was a pretty good pickup as far as where he got him in the draft. Maybe Hero as well. I think it was the 13th. I think 13th. Hero was 13th, maybe, and Bam was 18th or 16th, whatever it is. Long story short on this, it just seems to me that, we talked a little bit at the end of the last show, and that is that Riley and Ainge don't like each other, and their coaches, especially Eric, knows this. And a lot of people don't talk much about Fulton and his coaching ability and what he's able to do with this Miami team. And there's a culture there, guys. There's a culture. I'm going to avoid all the matchups, all of what we spend time on during the regular season and how much different the playoffs are. And I know we've all talked to that. But this Miami team has a culture, and it's a rich culture. And so does Boston. And this is serious business between it doesn't stop with these players. It doesn't stop with the fan base. It doesn't stop with the coaches. Eric much more so than Brad Stevens. But these two teams, these two franchises, these two fan bases don't like each other. And this is the kind of series that can zigzag work. And right now we're saying Miami has edges almost everywhere, whether it be the bench, whether it be motivation, whether it be rest. We keep talking Miami. Boston's going to come. They're going to show up. They're going to have something. If they have to play 46 minutes, if those five have to play 46 minutes, they're going to be there. They'll be there in the end. So I feel pretty fortunate to have Miami in game one. Well, Teddy says really it was all Miami. If you look at it deep, if you look at it and you take some of the layers off, he liked Miami from the get go. I'm a little bit still. I was on Miami and a little bit leery about Miami showing up the same way they did in game one. So kind of Teddy's on one side, I'm on the other. It's just going to be a good series.
Yeah, well, I'm not playing tonight's game, but I'm supposed to come back with Boston, and I'm leery of coming back with Boston.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have a 2.5-point favorite, you have a money line of -140. You have a flip-flop in the series price after one game. Celtics are -130. Now the Heat are -160, Rob. I mean, that is a tight, should be an evenly handed series. Rob, I guess big picture, did you see anything in game one that really changed the way you're looking at this series going forward, and maybe also some play-on-play against guys for you?
Yeah, no, I didn't see, because, Steve, I consider this to be a dead-on even series. I think I made the comment before this series was even known to be in a show that we did where if Boston meets Miami, it's going to be a tug of war. And it's going to be a tug of war. You got to selectively choose these games. You don't just, I'm not going to blindly bet over 7 straight games if it goes 7 games. I thought in the first game, these teams would have to figure out some adjustments. And I'm going to point out some numbers here real quick, guys. Boston's played 12, just to show you how good this total is at 208.5 that the odds maker, 209 now. He's 209.5.
Yeah, my bad.
But let's go with what the odds makers put up there. 10 of the 12 playoff games that Boston's been involved in, they've scored 102 points or better in 10 of those. 83% of the time they score 102 or better in regulation. Miami's been involved in 10 playoff games so far. 8 of those 10, they've scored 106 or better. 80% of the time, 106 or better. 102 and 106 equals 108 or 208, excuse me. So, the odds makers are where they should be. And, to the point of all we're talking about is Miami edges. These are not significant edges, guys. We're splitting hairs here. Miami has this piece, but Boston could obviously turn the tables. I asked the panel last show, is there a matchup for Jason Tatum? That answer proved out to be no. There's no matchup on the floor for Jason Tatum. 30 points, 14 boards, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He's going to get his. They can't really, situationally, Bam Adebayo stopped him when the game was on the line. I get it. Situationally, Jimmy Butler tied him up under the rim one time in the fourth quarter, but you're not going to stop this guy. There's no matchup on the floor for him. And the point whoever made it about Goran Dragic, there's no matchup for him either. I mean, he's going to get and to the point where some guys are built for this and some guys aren't. Miami's got a roster full of guys that are built for this type of playoff pressure. They don't feel any pressure, if you ask me, to a man up and down that lineup. They're ready to play. Boston, I think, is the same, but I do think one more time they're a little shorthanded depth-wise because of the Hayward thing. And while Kemba Walker put up a ton of shots, I'll tell you what, it used to be where if he shot a three, when he let it go, I would think it's going down. And now when he shoots a three, I never think it's going down. And he went 1 for 9 from three-point range the other day. A little bit hesitant, certainly offensively, and he can't be. I mean, he's the matchup, but he's getting a lot of shots. He's got to make more shots because he's going to be the guy that they're going to let shoot.
Yeah, Ski, I thought Teddy brought up a good point about them taking Walker out there down the stretch. I mean, that would make me a little nervous on his over-under going forward. If they might pull him out a little bit more here. And also, by the way, viewers, Tatum double-double to the minus on the yes, minus 135, 25.5 on the points. 10 is his over-under for rebounds, 4.5 assists. Ski, we talked about the three-point shooting. As I mentioned, that was kind of the difference. Boston, by the way, was 21 for 23 from the free throw line. Miami was only 21 for 28, but the Heat 16 for 36 versus 15 for 42 from three. So that basically, Ski, was the difference in this game. What are your thoughts on that going forward?
Well, I had that in my handicap. Miami is the second best three-point shooting team in the regular season. So I thought that Boston would defend the three better than people that they've seen previously. But, I mean, we know Miami shoots the three well. So that was to be expected. Last thoughts on this game or other thoughts on this game. The total, I kind of think Boston, they have to make some kind of adjustment defensively. And I think that's what we see. So if they come out with an adjustment that works, I think it's going to go under. And if I'm looking at, I want to look at a prop. It's more interesting this time. I want to get Tony Finn on it with me, but I don't think he's gonna go for it. We'll see. This one is a head-to-head prop, so it's players versus players.
Nice.
And it's gonna be Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder. Oh, wait till you hear it, Tony. I don't know. You might change it at the end. It's your guy at the end. Jay Crowder. I want 2. So Jay Crowder.
I'm listening very carefully now because you just mentioned a name that I may not be. I'm listening.
It's 2, the same players, but 2. Jay Crowder versus Marcus Smart. I want Jay Crowder to have more three-pointers and Jay Crowder to have more points.
And you want some cake too?
Well, you can let me know what you like, Tony.
What's that? No, I was going to mention. The reason I said you mentioned a name that might grab my interest is I was talking about Riley last time I spoke. Riley and Crowder is another guy. He's just what they've done is the more I look at this, the deeper we get in the series, the more I think about things. It's usually a dangerous thing for me, but a week ago, Miami's the play. Well, you want Crowder? I'll tell you what. I'm going to take this play. I'm going to take this play for 2 reasons. I'm not going to tell you why I'm taking this play until tomorrow's show or our next show, which is going to be what? Are we going to be on tomorrow now?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, live.
I'm going to tell you why. I'll take this. You want Crowder? You're going to give me Smart, and you want Crowder on 2 wagers, or do you want them combined? You want to go points?
No, 2 separate. Three-pointers and points.
Done. It's a wager, and I want you to go. I'm going to go ahead and send you my address because this wager is for. I want a good bottle of mezcal, or I just think this mezcal will be fine. I'm going to have you send me a bottle of mezcal because there's not. I guess you could drive it over if you wanted to, but I'd really get it in the mail from you.
Oh my God!
Whatever you
Tastes
want,
better when it comes
whatever
to
you
mail.
want, and I'm not going to get politically incorrect here and tell you what I think you want.
You know what I want, Tony.
But I want mezcal. Oh yeah, I got some of that growing in the backyard. So you got it, man.
This is where, for their own security and safety, I might have to mute the videos here just to keep them on the show for the rest of the season. Hey, Teddy, I've got a Ski, you're making me dig deep. I didn't realize there were all these available options, these head-to-heads, there's double-doubles on everyone. And by the way, Tatum's double-double is minus money at the sharp offshore. It's even money at DraftKings. Take that for what it's worth. So the offshore market's saying that Tatum more likely to have a double-double. You mentioned him, Teddy. But, Teddy, here's one you might find interesting. Head-to-head, most points, and this is basically a pick-em. Kemba Walker versus Dragic. And I know you mentioned that you thought he could have a big game, and you mentioned, Kemba being pulled a bit, Teddy. Would you like that one?
No. I don't, because Kemba's going to have, I think, more shot opportunities than Dragic tonight. If you ask me who's going to have more shot attempts, I'll take Kemba over Dragic. I want to point out a couple things in the chat. Anthony Fiola was talking the other day. He's like, Celtics have no finishers. I said this before. Jaylen Brown had a great game. He did not have a great fourth quarter, and on his finishing attempt, he got stopped at the rim by Bam Adebayo. But more than that, the Celtics went to him. It was either Kemba or Jaylen on the perimeter, dribbling on all their last possessions. They were trying to milk that lead. And when it came to 1-on-5, Jaylen didn't have a real great answer to that either. And there was another great one. Someone's talking about Kemba. Joe S. saying that Kemba made 1 or less threes in 8 of 12 playoff games this year. It's not a short-term problem for Kemba Walker. It's obviously been continuing here in the postseason, which is bad news for a Celtics team that's paying him for another, 5 years? If he's old now, what's he going to look like at the end of this contract?
Yeah, and by the way, Walker's at 19.5 points. Dragic's 18.5 points. So Pick'em isn't exactly a fair head-to-head. You should be getting +1 there in that matchup. Tony, any play-on-play against guys for you? And by the way, if anybody wondered what Tony Fenn's YouTube handle is, it's obviously Sonny Corleone. So,
by the way, I don't mean to cut everyone off. I just noticed it. Rob, your Twitter handle is wrong on your thing.
Yep.
Yeah, you forgot to
Spots.
Veno Spots.
I'm going to call him Spots.
It's that time
Spots Veno from now on. Spots Veno.
That's fantastic.
I put there. The cheetah. There's so many ways we could go with that. We could say it's that time of the month. We could call him the cheetah. I mean, there's a lot of good ones there.
Teddy didn't have to throw you during the program. I like it though. It's fun. It's fun. This is good TV.
I just like your Twitter handle here, Tony Finn. Sonny Corleone, a.k.a. Tony
Thank you,
Finn.
Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. Somebody yesterday told me they were going to start calling me Pix Finn. And I said, wouldn't it be Tony Pix? Wouldn't that be better? No,
Probably the Shark. The Shark would be a great nickname with Finn. I never thought of that one before.
So, there's a bunch of Tarkanians around here.
That's true. I guess in Vegas you can't go by the Shark though. That or Australia with Greg Norman would be the other one that comes to mind. So.
There's a bunch of Tarkanians.
So Tony, who's us a play-on-play against guys for you? Get something back at Ski here. You got double action though. Anything you want him to take?
No, I really. It'll be fun tomorrow when he gives out my address here in Vegas, where he's going to send the mezcal, and no cheap mezcal. There is no cheap mezcal anyway. It doesn't matter. But as far as play-on-play goes, I would have. I'll tell you this: is there a play-on-play as far as bench? There's a bench. There can't be a bench prop. There wouldn't be. It wouldn't be fair. How about Kelly? What's the over on Olynyk?
Total points?
Yeah.
I am not seeing it actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they basically had the 5 starters each. That's kind of
it.
Seeing. Yeah, for
No,
the
Ben,
maybe one extra guy, and that's about it.
No sweet Kelly props.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Rob. Is who's his new guy now that salt and pepper, lemon pepper, whatever he's going by this week is no longer available. Rob, actually, I'll throw it to you. I've got a surprise for you here, Rob. Put you on full screen as I do this because I'm learning how to use this better. We might say it's that, right? But watch what I'm going to do here. Just like this, guys. Just like this. He is now no longer Spots. How do you like that?
I think I'll trademark it.
Behind the screen there. Now you're Sports again. How do you like that?
There we go. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. And by the way, I did not make it Spots. Although now that I know I could do that, maybe during the show we'll do it. It'll be kind of like a Wills Waldo. What point in the show every day am I going to change it to Spots? And the first viewer to chime in wins something maybe.
Yeah, we'll make quite the couple, lemon pepper and Spots.
So who's your new guy for this round now that you don't have? I mean, of course, we got the Lakers game tomorrow. You could have someone in that series, I guess. But who's your guy tonight?
Well, let me just trying to find an advantage, Steve. We talked last show about how perhaps Duncan Robinson would be a defensive liability. And you see that in the minutes from Eric Spoelstra last game. Duncan Robinson goes 17-0-1. And Tyler Hero got all the minutes, 40-24. Now, some of that's overtime. I get it. So I don't know if he played all 5 in overtime, but if he did, then that goes down to 35 minutes, 24 seconds, about 35 and a half minutes in regulation. I can't believe that odds makers have adjusted Tyler Hero's points to a 35-minute a game guy. But if that's the way that Spoelstra is going to play him, then I'm going to play Hero over because he's going to get far more. He got 10 shot attempts, 5 3-pointers, scored 12. How much is he?
13 and a half points.
Oh, he might be worth it, guys. 13 and a half points out of a 35-minute guy that's going to get his share of shots. I don't know that I would go against that. I'd probably try and take advantage of that for one game and see if, in fact, he plays another 35 minutes, if odds makers adjust that total up, because I just think if he's playing that much, he'll get over that total.
We have any takers on the under 13 and a half? Anybody want an in-show wager here? No takers. What do you think, Ski?
Nah.
Come on, Ski.
No, I was just going to say the reason why Duncan Robinson didn't play is because he couldn't defend without fouling. He fouled every time he was on the floor.
Ski, any other guys? Any other guys you like, by the way?
And you know what, you guys?
Yeah, Rob.
Real quick, to Ski's point, I meant to say this before. I think in 3 of those 4 quarters, watching that game, one team or the other was in the bonus awfully early. I mean, they're shooting bonus with 9 minutes left in a quarter, one side or the other. So that's why we had so many free throw attempts. You tack on 90 points from the 3-point line, and just look at the amount of attempts from the 3-point line. That's what makes over or under 208 and a half so difficult here, guys, because those particular things, I don't think are going to change. I think you're going to see guys going to the free throw line. It's just the style, the nature of these two teams. And I think you're going to see 3-point attempts hoisted up. Again, the nature of these two teams. So it makes 208 and a half really, really difficult to bet into one way or the other.
Do you think that this game, guys, these officials let these two, once they get a little more accustomed to how they're going to play, how they match up, and how they defend each other, are they going to play more? Because these numbers, these free throw numbers, are a little bit high, a little bit more than is typical in conference or NBA finals. Typically, I should say. Depends on who's playing who, obviously. But if we're going to have almost 30 free throws from one team or from both teams in the series, then you have to consider that. Miami's a pretty good free throw shooting team. So,
yes, Ski, I'll get your thoughts. What are your final thoughts on this game? Obviously, we had the 5 extra minutes of overtime, but yeah, what was it? 58 free throws total. That'd still be about 50 for a regular game. Ski, what are your final thoughts here in Game 2 tonight?
Well, I'll say on the Dragic versus Kemba thing, I know I said I don't think Kemba, I think he may be a little bit hurt or something, but the only way I think the Celtics have a chance, I think it has to be Kemba. So I would lean towards his points over, and I lean towards Dragic points under just because, like I said, I think Celtics have to make an adjustment, and I think that adjustment has to be Marcus Smart guarding Dragic because he can slow him down, and they have to take away something. So that's the way that I would go there. And the thing about the Marcus Smart, I mean, if you tell me he's going to make 6 threes, I would say Boston wins the game. I'm with Tony Finn. He took my prop because that's how Tony Finn is. He wants to give me whatever I want. But he doesn't think Marcus Smart is a great shooter either. And I will see how long this lasts. But Boston was winning in that game majority because Marcus Smart was a sharpshooter for that night.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it, is that Tony Finn is a giver. Actually, he's a taker in this situation, but he's also a giver by taking whatever you offer him. That's what we love about the in-show wagers. Hey, everybody, remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you get alerted to when we have shows. And it's important because we're not going to have a show every day going forward if there's not an NBA game. But there is an NBA game tomorrow and Friday, and we'll see if we'll be back on Monday. There's no game Monday, but I'm going to try to have a show so we can recap the weekend maybe. So we'll see what the studio tells us. And then we'll be definitely back most of the days next week as these teams keep playing alternating days, guys. And once again, tonight's Game 2 is at special time, 7 p.m. Eastern, a little bit earlier than you might expect. My guess is it's because the NFL is on a rival network, so they want to get it in earlier maybe. But tip-off 7 p.m. Eastern, a little earlier than you would expect for a standalone Eastern Conference final game. So make sure you get your plays in. And best of luck for those of you that are doing plays. Don't forget free plays, WagerTalk and Sportsmemo, free plays each and every day. What's up, Tony?
There won't be any games on Mondays. They're not going to compete with Monday Night Football. And 2,
that's a good point. Yeah, there definitely are no games Monday, so that's a good point.
And 10 days. Teddy you're going to be over on the 30 days. Well, I just got news that 10 days from today, the local taverns will reopen in Las Vegas for you can sit at the bar and play your Keno or your blackjack. 10 days.
So that'd be what, October 1st, I guess.
I guess it's good news for. Listen, it's good news for if we can handle it. It's good news for us here in Vegas for lots of reasons. Those who like to go, and those that are sitting in front of televisions making bets on basketball games and football games.
So we're inching closer to maybe fans at the Raider games, guys. Right? We'll see what happens with that.
Okay, well, now you're getting crazy.
I'll be the first one there booing.
Your Chargers have their home opener here this week, I believe. Correct, Ski? Anyway, guys, WagerTalk.com. Best bets from all of us tonight. Teddy Covers, Tony Finn, Rob Veno, Ski Profit, and myself, Steve Merrill. We're all at WagerTalk.com, and we are back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, live for more NBA tip-off on Friday right here on Wager Talk TV. Good luck tonight.